TV 1061, conceptualizing your ideas across the world and beyond.
Welcome back. We're sorry for the technical difficulties, but we're back. And I just wanted to tell you guys, we have a call-in line. You guys can call in at 770-485-7724. I want to give a shout out to our executive producer, Felix Washington. It does an amazing job every Sunday. Our social media person, Shantae Barksdale. And also Jason Pulley is our tech support. We want to welcome you guys to our channel on other days of the week. On Wednesdays, we have the flavor and the playlist. The flavor is at 8 o'clock. The playlist is at 9:30. Thursday, you ladies and men, you got to catch this. We have the Bedroom Chronicles at 6 p.m. And on Saturday, we have The Conversation, which is an amazing show, and that's at 3:30 on Saturdays. And of course, on Sunday, you have the Talk Show Diva at 4:30, and you have the Talk Show Kings at 6:30. I want to just let you guys know again, we're on Roku channel 1061, and we invite you guys, your comments, we're reading your comments, and we invite you guys to call us. Call us right now so we can talk. Now, I'm going to let you guys know, we just had a fight behind stage when we took a break, but everybody's repositioned. We're back in our chairs, and I'm going to take it back to Renee. She was making a very interesting point before we had the break.
Oh, look, what was the point? Nonetheless, you know, like if someone was to change your name every 5 and 10 years, you really wouldn't even know who to answer to. Every time somebody say Patricia, you're like, because that used to be my name, Margaret, and turn it around. So you really, for us as people of color, let's say black people, every time our name gets changed, we really don't know, and I don't know if that's, I'm sure it's by design, how to go back and research our history and our culture. So therefore now, because of information is out here like everywhere through the internet, it's much more accessible for us to really dove and dig about who we are as a people. Yeah. Unlike what they've taught us in school, unlike what they've told us, and unlike things that we've heard about us as a people. So the information is available now, and we're just different in terms of who we are.
And I want to say, I want to just make a mention. We were talking about the 70s at our family, the 60s and the 70s, where we had ML King and we had Malcolm X, and we had all these things happening. We were very much entrenched into celebrating our blackness, our African heritage, and who we are. And for some reason, whenever we feel good about ourselves, that seems to frighten the establishment. So in regards to all of the steps, the strides that we have made, our movements have been squashed. We can talk about Black Wall Street. Many of you have heard about Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yes.
Burned to the ground. And I can go to the West Coast. I can go to Chicago. I can go to all these major cities and the South. Where Harlem. Of course, the Harlem Renaissance, where we were doing our thing and doing it damn well.
Yes.
In the belly of segregation.
Yes.
Now, what I want you guys to take note about, segregation meant that our black dollar got recycled in our neighborhoods.
Correct.
And the money stayed in our neighborhoods. And that is one of the things that we have to look at now that that is no longer law of the land, that we spend our money with any and everybody. So what we're hoping to do, and what a lot of organizations and companies, we're trying, like Renee was saying, we have black banks. We want you to come and bank with us. And we're trying to get businesses and have resources that every other culture has. We're trying to mimic that so we can keep our...
And that's why we have to also, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we need to step and raise the game with ourselves, how we run our institutions that we're trying to establish too, right? So that we can meet the demands and needs of our consumers and our community, because people want to buy our stuff. People want to participate in what we offer. Our culture has been
Appropriated.
okay.
Culture
Come with
vultures.
it.
Talk on it.
All right. So
culture has
that's
been
some
appropriated.
big NBA words there.
But they get it.
Yeah,
they get it.
you
Culture
know.
vultures.
Yes. So it's been the case throughout history. We have been the center of everything, right? Starting back with the ancient Egyptians, right? The Greek went to Egypt to be educated. Just saying, that's
Came
another
back and said, poof, look what we did.
no, you did not.
But that's what
But
they do.
I mean, let's just put Africa has been
The center of
the
everything.
center of the universe for a very long time. And the focus has been taken away from Africa, but
by no
I
purpose.
feel yes, by design,
Always,
right?
always.
Let's hear just a little bit from
React to
piggybacking
the
what you're
comments?
saying. Yeah, react to some of the comments. Kevin Ramos says femininity and masculinity are social constructs.
Oh wow! Thank you, Kevin Ramos.
And from April Strickland, the younger generation don't have the structure of a man being the rib and the provider for his family.
Oh, wow.
These are very impactful.
Wow.
Those are
We want to
powerful.
hear from we want to hear from you guys. Give us a call. Our lines are open. We love to hear your comments, and we actually want to know what your opinions are on these topics that we're talking about. And also, we also have an audience now that we're in Roku. You can see us from across the world. So if you're in China, if you are in the UK, if you are in Africa, my African brothers and sisters, give us a call. We want you guys to comment on our show, and
Yes.
we're gonna open this thing wide open, because I know there are other countries that want to know how we see things, because they think because we live in America, everything is just so great.
Right. and a lot of people say, do Africans talk about the plight of the African American? Absolutely.
Yes,
there
they
was
sure
a post
do.
a couple of months ago. This woman wants to say, I spoke to about 20 Africans, and they said, we don't even think about it. I said, well, that's just 20 out of billions. I mean,
They don't think
how
about
you
what?
just-
They don't think about what?
the plight of the African American.
okay, what we're
right?
experiencing.
And I'm like, no, and I can say that because I'm African, and let me tell you, this is part of our discussion. Now, I don't know who you were talking to, but people from Africa do sympathize and understand what is going on over here. Now, there's some thoughts in, I know when we first came to this country, but my family history is a very complex one. We'll talk about that another day. There's a relationship with America in here, because my relatives left here in 1822 as free men and women and went back to Africa. So the move back to Africa was 1822. We say that. But that's sidebar. However, it's back to the relationship between Africans and African American. I think I've seen the growth. I've seen where both sides are starting to understand that we were lied to. We were lied to in Africa. We were lied to here in this country as well. So I feel that the relationship is
It's improving.
is improving.
Speaking of, I wanted to segue into one of our topics. Education is key. Connecticut will now require African American studies of Latin America, and also studies of Puerto Rico. It is going to be a requirement and not an elective. So
Excellent.
that is very good news, starting the fall of 2021. That's excellent news. And any one of us up here that have had our children in the American school system, we know that the only discussions that they have of us is Martin Luther King Day and Lincoln and we were slaves. That's it. That's it.
And of course, the shortest month of the year, February, Black History Month.
And some places some children don't even know that February is Black History Month. But I think that's huge.
I think it's
That's
huge.
huge.
And
Long time coming.
with the new cabinet, we will hopefully see a change in what education has been like with the past administration, which I have tons of education friends. I come from an education background from my family. My dad, retired educator. My aunt is a retired educator. Tons of people that have impacted education in this country for a long time. What we're going to have is just more discussions at home based on what you expose your child to, what things that you want them to learn. Because even though Connecticut is leading the charge, I'm still very skeptic about this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, is this more of the Band-Aid? You understand what I'm saying? Our history is history. It is world history. It's not just...
Shouldn't be separate.
Should not be separate.
What do you think?
And then who's going to write the book?
That's
Thank you.
Who's going to read the book before they give it to our
Who's
children?
gonna prove
Because
the book?
somebody did not read that book
Yes.
when we were growing up, when they told us about what Christopher did.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
our
someone didn't read
history
the
being
book. So
this much.
exactly. So someone needs to actually proofread, fact find the book before they give it to our children, because the information is already out there.
It's already there.
It's already there.
They don't need to remake it.
They don't need to remake it.
reconstitute
That's
They just
right.
need to do it.
That's
and when you
true.
say education does start at home, but we pay a huge, especially in Cobb County, a huge part of our taxes go to the public school system.
Yes.
So I
All
need
of
to
them.
have a say-so in what you're teaching my child. I don't need you to teach anything that allows him to contract, that allows his light to dim, that allows him to feel like he's less than. If you are not building children up and empowering them, they should not be in your classrooms.
That's true.
And
That
what
all
our
happened
children
too.
have had to suffer is all of the great presidents, the founding fathers. The truth about the founding fathers is never taught.
Correct.
Thanksgiving is not Thanksgiving to whom? Who Thanksgiving? I mean, all of these little lies, I call them little white lies. All of these little white lies that are put into our babies just as soon as they can get into school.
The real meaning.
It impacts the real meaning of
The
Thanksgiving.
real meaning. The real meaning. The real meaning of Thanksgiving.
The real meaning of
because
Thanksgiving.
they did grant them Thanksgiving
Yes.
to take a break from killing up all the Indians. So
Correct.
that was the generals.
Correct.
Yes.
And
That was
one other
his
thing, you said it before, you touched on it. We were already here.
indigenously already
We were
here.
already here.
They didn't bring us on.
Black people were already here.
They didn't bring us on.
Christopher didn't discover anything.
Yes.
Right. We were already here. The Moors circumnavigated the world. So we
Correct.
touched every continent. You
Exactly.
have monuments and statues and stones underneath the ground that just
prove
shows
that.
evidence that we
Yes.
were just everywhere. We
were
were just
here.
having a party with the earth.
Yes, we
Yes.
were.
And I think here in the U.S., it's a challenge, I believe, for us to realize that, you know, certain facts that are indoctrined in us for so long, it's hard to kind of get rid of those. And like when we all know that we are of indigenous descent, with the exception, Roselle, you know, from Africa, being from Africa. We do know we have.
Wait a minute. Hold that thought. We got to pay some more bills. Oh, my gosh.
Okay.
We'll be right back, you guys.
Look,
Don't
look.
move. Give us a call or comment. We'll be right back.
I'm going to bite your finger.
Yo, what's up, y'all? I'm Dynasty Smith, and I'm your host for The Flavor, where we're going to be showcasing some of the hottest independent artist videos from all around. So y'all tune in every Wednesday at 8 o'clock just by typing into your YouTube bar, TV 1061. So if you go into your YouTube search bar, type in TV 1061 to join us every Wednesday at 8 o'clock to check out some of the hottest new independent artist videos from all over. If you want to check us out on Facebook, just type in The Flavor and you can find us on Facebook. And yo, for you artists out there, lights, camera, action. Now the camera's on you. If you want to get your video aired on The Flavor, then you need to hit us up at 1061tv@gmail.com. Send us your YouTube link, and then we'll get back to you on details on how you can be on The Flavor.
Welcome back, everybody. Once again, I want you guys to remember to like us on Facebook at The Talk Show Divas. You can also find us on Roku channel 1061. And we are back. We're talking about some really heated conversations, or some conversations that need to be had on a mass level. One of the things that we've tackled with for the longest has been the issue of police brutality in our communities. Just last week, we had Casey Goodson Jr., 23-year-old, murdered in Columbus, Ohio by a police officer. Mr. Goodman was coming home from a dentist appointment. He had a Subway sandwich in his hand, and he was sticking his key into the door. He was mistaken for someone they were looking for. He was shot 5 times in the back.
Okay.
So here we are once again. This seems like a horror movie that never ends. And I think, you guys, we need to take a different approach, because what we've been doing is just not working. What do you guys think?
Oh, definitely. You know, we can no longer. I mean, someone has to be held accountable at a very high level at this point in time. And unfortunately, we're in a transition period where one president is, well, he's trying to fight leaving office. But anyway, we need to stop begging. We need to start, like your point that you made last week, where we hold these police officers accountable, not just with criminal cases, but with the
Bonds.
with the bonds. Right?
Yeah.
So that's something that people need to be educated about, and know that that's an option to go, because when you impact people's pockets,
Things change.
things change.
Yeah.
And when is it okay to shoot somebody in the back? Please, somebody explain to me. When is it police procedure to shoot someone in the back?
Initially the police officer said he was waving a gun, which was a Subway sandwich, which he was never waving.
I mean, with all the
It's the
attention
same-
that's put on, if I
the
was a
same
police
thing.
chief right now, I don't care what color I am, with all the focus and attention that is being placed on the police departments now, why, if any of my officers did any of those shenanigans like that, or shot someone or did something out of line, they're done. And then
I don't want you to lose your job. I want you to go to jail. I want you to
clinks
lose.
on you.
I want
want
the clinks
everything.
on you.
Well, but just go there and overthrow the police department.
I want the clink.
Because everything is always so nice, and we're gonna march, and marching is good. A T-shirt is good.
Defund
but when
the
did
police.
Okay.
Everybody was saying, what does that mean? Does it mean we don't want any police? No,
That's
it
not what
doesn't.
that
No.
means, because like you just stated, that they didn't come there on a specific call, like no one called them.
Nope.
Defunding of the police is per, different situations, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Nonetheless, when you do something of that nature, and then all our response is always in loving and caring and
I forgive you, I
consideration, and
love
I
you.
forgive you. We're not going in there burning down the police department. We're not going in and overtaking. Now, that might not be the best thing to do, but it is something else to do.
I have to tell
Yeah.
you this. I know that if white America had these murders
Situations
of
going
their
on,
children
yes.
and their husbands and their daughters, this would have been changed overnight.
What
It
the-
wouldn't
They
even be happening.
they galvanized to try to keep Trump in office. They were just in D.C. And I like that about the dominant society. They know how to mobilize, and they know how to get their needs met.
Well, the
That's
reason why
my
they know how
society.
to mobilize in this country is historically police were put
Patty
in
roll.
power. They were the patty. What is it called? The patty.
It was called Patty Roll.
Patty
For slaves,
roll.
for slaves,
So
yeah, for slaves.
police, if you didn't know, were enacted.
slave catchers.
They were slave catchers.
Exactly.
And the history of that organization is just, much like the history of America, it's very dirty. And we don't want to discuss it, and we don't want to see the ramifications of generational paddy wagons and slave catchers. What impact does that have on today? So when you don't change the whole
Dynamic.
the dynamic from the top down.
the top down,
You
yeah.
see a lot of colleges now are where they have uprisings, where police are acting totally against and murdering people. They are stopping those police from working at those games. They're cutting their funding.
Exactly. See?
And that's
That's what I
that's
said.
the only way
That's the only way I
that
understand it.
this monster that, where I hate to see it, like white Americans who feel less than, they go to join the police force so that they can torture black and brown people.
They hired them on
I am
purpose.
so glad you said
and they
that.
hired
Yes.
them. And they hired them on
They're
purpose.
hired.
They're hired.
So it has to stop. We don't have proper police training. We're one of the only Western civilized countries that don't have proper police training with our police.
So where's all this millions of dollars going? Because that's why we're talking about defunding
Weapons.
They get all this money.
Thank you.
State-of-the-art weapons.
All this money.
Nice
Helicopters that can see lasers through,
ammunition.
concrete. You know, the
Thank you.
technology to find to find.
Canine
you,
dogs,
you made
all
a
of that.
very interesting point. It is a certain type of personality
That
that is in the penitentiaries,
That's true.
and that wears the blue.
That is true.
It very much so is.
Yes.
And it is a lot of people are saying that there should be psychological tests and different type of sensitivity training. I'm gonna be very honest, they know exactly who is coming to their force to get these jobs.
Well,
They know.
well, most
They
of
know.
the major cities have all what you're saying. They have training. They have the training. They do the
Yes,
psychological
yes.
testing. They do the background checking. It's those
Do they?
smaller. It's
Do they
those
really?
smaller police departments who don't have the funding.
No.
Look at Boston. Look at Boston.
New York PD?
Yes.
LAPD?
LAPD,
Chicago? Are you serious?
The corruption.
Listen, it's in place now. Is it being used properly?
No,
No,
and,
but
and
it's
that's,
in place.
And that's what we're talking about when we say defund the police.
Take
We're
away
saying
all that money.
Take away their funding that they get for like policing sporting events or concerts or things where they receive millions and millions of dollars in contract funding. Cut those
Yes.
contracts. That's what we're saying.
Yes.
We're not saying
And put it
that we
towards
don't
training.
need. Yes, we don't
need
need
the
a
police.
police. We definitely
need
need
that
a
apparatus in place.
police, but we need
Yeah.
a well-trained, sensitive police force that knows that
Yes.
when they come out on a call. I saw a young guy murdered, and he was definitely someone who had a mental problem.
Yeah.
His mother, I can't remember this, if somebody can comment with this incident, it was not even a month ago. This young brother was going through something and definitely
Mental
needed
issues.
to be diffused. He was unarmed. His mom was begging and pleading. They called the police
Yes.
to try to get assistance from
I
the
remember
police.
that. I remember
Yes.
that. And he wound
And
up dead.
he was murdered in broad
Yes.
daylight in front of several people streaming his murder.
Yes.
His mother was howling because she could not understand how did she call a police force that her tax dollars
Yes.
pay for, and she calls to get assistance to help her son who has a mental issue, and they come and they murder him.
Well, one thing that I want to mention that you talked about, and I'm gonna let, and Renee wants to chime in as well. I do not want to hear about any more training. I do not want to hear about that because you know what? A similar situation with a white person, that person lives.
Oh, they got
You can have
arrested.
a, so they know what they're doing. It is the criminalization of this beautiful black skin that
Yeah,
we live
that's
in.
right.
And that is historic. So we have
Yes,
seen,
let's just be
we have
honest.
seen white citizens wielding guns,
Yep.
knives, and for some
Attacking
reason
the
they
police.
always manage to de-escalate,
And
and
survive.
no one winds up dead. Who is the Whitenhauser kid that went to the protest and just
Just
shot
out.
2 people?
Right. They said, "Hey, buddy,
And
how are
He
you?"
had earlier gave water to the police.
They arrested,
Yeah.
they arrested some of the black protesters and didn't even pay him any attention. What I say, Black America, Second Amendment, arm yourselves, teach everyone in your family how to defend themselves. If you are military, all of my brothers and sisters that can hear my voice, if you are military, if you have any tactical training, take your skills and use them to protect your women, your sons, your mothers, our community, because I'm for a community type of policing that we could have. Somewhat like the Black Panthers, but that's just me.
Okay, that's just you. Well, what about the
Go ahead. That's just
NFAC? Yeah,
Oh wow, the
What about
NFAC. She was mentioning
NFAC. But before we get to the NFAC, before we get to, I forgot my point. It's okay though. I forgot the point.
We
I
were
was
talking
having.
about how they can de-escalate with certain races.
Oh,
but they manage we always manage to get
okay. Thank you
murdered.
so much. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much. It just came back to mind. And in defunding them is just taking their money and giving it to other people that are qualified
Exactly.
to come.
Thank you.
When you have someone, they get a call and it's someone there that's intoxicated, then you want to send out a person that is a certified addiction counselor that know how to
Yes.
come in and they've been there
Yes.
before. They're in recovery as well. They can talk to that person. Just like if it was a domestic domestic violence situation and they didn't have any hostages there, then they can send a person who is a coach in that area
Yes.
that has
Yep.
recovered, and they know how to have them breathe and count and able to identify. I used to do the same thing too, brother or sister, whatever the case may be, and make that
Yes.
identification.
Yeah.
When you're coming in as a police officer, a lot of time all they're doing is coming in there to, especially if it's people of color,
Us.
they're coming to put handcuffs on somebody.
Or
You
shoot.
know,
bullets.
or
bullets.
what- one or the other. Somebody's going to either go to jail or somebody's going to die. Which one you want to do? Go to jail, you want to go home.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. So that's their whole mentality.
To your
that was
point-
trained today.
Yes. But to your point, Renee.
Yes.
But why? Here's a question that we can ask everybody. Why is it that the police are counselors when they arrest any other race than black
Yes.
or brown people? They are counselors.
Yes, they are.
They're out there chasing somebody wielding a machete.
Yes.
They could be white. A Caucasian man that's
Same thing.
300 pounds
Yep.
and 6'8", they will beg and plead and sway
seen
and,
it too much.
and,
Shoot 'em
and
with rubber
everything.
bullets.
Shoot 'em with rubber bullets.
If you're a drunk driver, they will even escort you home.
They will
And make
escort
sure
you
you get home in one
But
piece.
if you're brown or
Wow.
black, you have two choices.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to end up being shot or hit. Hopefully, they will just take you
Yeah.
peacefully. That's the greatest hope that we have.
Just go
but
to
most
jail,
of the
yes.
time, you're not gonna. That's not going to be the case.
Yeah. It's
So
sad.
we've just made one of the top cops. Kamala Harris is the VP, but her job was putting people away. She was a prosecutor.
I like how she said
So
the top cop.
I'm waiting to see if any of her experience from being in those
concerned.
positions will translate to policy. I'm waiting. There were a lot of things that happened on Joe Biden's watch under Barack Obama. We had the Mike Brown, we had Trayvon Martin, we had a lot of stuff going on. I didn't hear anything. Joe, I didn't hear you. Okay, so now we need to make sure that we push, drag, pull, do whatever we have to. If that means withholding money, we have to come up with something that's going to work.
And
I'm
that's
tired of
why
being
we
nice.
got to vote. And we just can't vote in the
Don't-
presidential. We got to vote on the local level. We got to vote for state level. We have to stay involved. Like Georgia right now, we have a major election coming up.
Stop. I just can't say vote. We have been voting
Voting.
forever.
No,
And they're still doing
there's
this.
a lot of us that don't vote for local or state.
And what's the
A
reason
lot
why
of
they
us
don't? There's a reason why people don't vote.
Because they feel that there's no change
Not
to be
they
made.
feel, they
Because
know.
they don't see any change.
Simple question.
Typically, yeah, there's no policy
Why
change.
is the oppressed person always asked to
Do more.
or readjust or go? No, I need you to speak to the other people on the side of the camera.
They're never going to be accountable for what they do. They
Okay.
justify what they do because
That's true.
it suits them. That's that. If you're waiting for that,
We ain't just
You-
waiting.
you're
We ain't
gonna-
gonna-
I did the old iPhone 9, the whole iPhone 9 from the old book, that good book. I love that old book.
but we got to take baby steps. We got to hold
Oh,
ourselves
baby
accountable.
steps.
No, baby, I will be 80 years old with grandkids with baby steps.
What I'm
Grandkids.
saying
You
is,
mean
Time for
great-
justice
No.
and equality is always right now.
But what
I'm
I'm-
tired of us sitting around waiting.
listen, I hear you and you're correct and you're not wrong. But what I'm saying is we have to stay accountable for ourselves, okay? And we got to take care of our community and stop looking for other people to take care of things for us. We got to do it ourselves.
Our level of accountability has always been prevalent in our communities.
I don't know.
We have had what I'm saying is we have had see, some people say, okay, his pants were sagging and that's why the police treat you that way. All those men in those lynch pictures, if you've ever seen any pictures of lynchings, those men had on trousers, belts, and shirts.
And leather shoes
They were
if they
what?
weren't
Yep.
taken
You
off of
can't,
them.
yes. So you
Or
can't
no
keep,
shoes, yes.
because you're blaming the victim at that point.
We're always victimized.
Yes, you're blaming the victim for
I
their
get it.
victimization.
What I'm saying is I'm no longer waiting to ask people for permission, right? I'm saying we need to take charge.
Do you want to succeed from the union? Because people that lost the Trump people, they're saying, hey, give us 5 or 6 states. We just want to succeed all together. And all of us, I'm serious.
Yeah.
They're talking about succeeding. So, hey, black people, you've been treated bad for a very long time. Which states y'all want? Pick. Any place that's warm for me, that'll work.
Well, you listen.
No, hey,
There's people who are really seriously considering that, buying land and creating
That's
their
not
own
too bad,
community.
though.
But I'm
Yes.
all for that. I'm all for let's sit there and look at our communities and figure out way and strategize and put a plan together to get back our communities and make it strong and powerful. And also go out there and vote. We gotta hit it all the way.
I want to give y'all a comment
Okay.
from one of our viewers. Stephanie Meyer says, it's no time for baby steps.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yes. Well,
And then-
Stephanie, come on. I'm gonna talk about that too. I'm ready to
Yes.
skip to Malou. Let's skip. Can we skip to Malou? Can we?
Yes. And then Kevin says that our votes do matter. That was clearly demonstrated when black women showed up and turned out.
That's true.
Well, I'm
matter,
gonna tell you
but,
something, Kevin.
there's a
I'm
reason
gonna
why they
tell you
don't vote,
something.
though.
I'm
They
gonna
do
tell you
matter.
something, Kevin.
Yeah.
That's
it
true.
has not been evidenced yet. We have a Democrat that's gonna be in power. And one of the first things that Miss VP Kamala Harris said was that her and Uncle Joe Biden, they were going to revisit all of the treaties that were broken with the American government
the American
and
Indian,
the Native
the
American people. Not one mention of any treaties that were broken with the African American. Once we had Reconstruction, our
We did
40
have
acres
some.
in the mill, we have multiple treaties and we have multiple agreements that
Yes.
were not kept. But your VP, you guys voted her in. Her first business is to address indigenous people. And if we're going to do that, I have grandmothers and great-great-grand that were Indians. So how you going to do that? We have it coming both ways.
Well, I mean,
both sides of the coin, you gonna get
everything
your
needs to be
money.
addressed. Everything needs to be addressed because that
But
is
I'm
a
saying-
major
but
issue too.
I'm saying
That's the
this
first
is
thing
a
she said she was going to
African
address.
American VP,
Mm-hmm.
and that was her first thing. That was her first piece of business that they just
Well,
had to
can
get to.
I tell you the reasoning for the reasoning in which I followed the Choctaw tribe of Mississippi? I'm gonna give them a shout out. The reasoning for the following so closely of these treaties, and you know where I'm about to go with this. Land is power, and the indigenous people have hundreds and hundreds of years of documented law. It was signed into law.
Yes, it was.
So that's the only thing that is recognized in this country when you want to get to it, is what is law and what is not. And so the documented,
I'm sorry.
no problem, the documented treaties that they have established, they want to revisit it because land is going to be the most powerful resource in this country, and it always has been. So if you are of indigenous descent, and I'm talking to all of our viewers that are black and brown in this country, because you are of some type of indigenous descent,
Yes.
you need to research your local tribes. You need to find out your heritage. You need to participate in that.
Hold on just a second. You guys, the show is over. We're about to leave out of here. It's been wonderful having you. Please join us again next Sunday, and we will see you guys around this time. It's 4:30 next Sunday.
4:30 Eastern
Bye-bye.
Standard Time.
And if you're anywhere else in the world too, we'll see you guys soon.
TV 1061, conceptualizing your ideas across the world and beyond.